Notaries can have court. Grand jurors can try anyone for infamous crimes or treasonous acts. And then you have your jurors for your local communities for minor offenses. And they have great powers, and they don't even know what their job description is. Anytime their judges are giving them specific orders and the DA is giving them specific orders, that's jury tampering.
Mm-hmm.
So many jurors, I often tell them to get the jury handbook. In fact, I carry it around with me in case I come across people, because I get many people that are saying, I've been called for jury duty, should I serve? I said, hell yeah, because you're going to educate some people. So basically I tell them to go ahead and get, this is what they can and start reading it. And that's going to put them back in the driver's seat. And they have equivalent power of 1,200 sitting presidents, all of Congress and the congressional members, and all of your Supreme Court justices. That's how much power resides both in the grand jurors and the jurors. And then, of course, you got your notaries. So that's where your checks and balances really are, and it should have been with the states. The fourth one should have been at the voting poll, but they are rigged, so we cannot rely on that. So now we only have basically two left, and that's the jurors and the grand jurors and the notaries. So this is how you can get to the bottom of some of these problems here. And, it's an effort, it's a community effort, and you have to do it a community at a time. Not some mistaken that I'm meaning to do this on a global scale. You have to do it a community at a time. Build your grassroots. Was something said?
Yeah, you got to do it one at a time.
Yes. Yeah, you got to do community at a time, because that's what the jurors are there for. They're there. And then here's the other here's a major factor while people are being prosecuted for people that are biased. Okay, first and foremost, when you sit on a juror duty, to be a juror, you should know or have known the defendant. Do you know that of the 12 jurors, a minimum of 8 of them should know the defendant? And then secondly, not only should they know the defendant, they should be of the same race and age. So let's say if there was an Asian individual in their 50s, 12 of those jurors should be in that age category. They should be Asian, and at least 8 to I'm going to say from 8 to 12 of them should know the defendant. That is peers of your peers. So when I had my clients to go into court and they asked for a trial by jury, I tell them, you make sure that you put in there stipulated peers of peers. And almost uncertainly, the DA goes, oh God, how are we going to pull this off? Because that is what the jurors are about. Jurors who is making biased decision about the character of the defendant is ill-advised, because the jury system, when you trace that back in history, back at the Wild Wild West, you remember when the sheriff used to apprehend the suspect and they said you will be tried by your peers, by the community. Your community consists of people that lived in the same community. Not only the jurors need to know you and be of the same race and age group, they need to be from that community. So if a person is being tried that's from Texas, let's say Austin, Texas, then all the jurors should be from Austin, Texas. They are not to be anywhere else.
So,
and yet they are bringing in jurors from other districts that have no clue what's going on. They just handpick them like a lottery. That is not the jury system. I don't know what that is, but that's not the proper setup for jurors at all.
So Deborah, we've got a situation where, in Rod's case, for instance, they have designated the Arizona jury system, and they have held that to the point where the judge is the one who is going to determine how many jurors. They could have a small a number as 8 jurors on that Arizona jury, and the defendant does not have any choice in any of this. So when you get a judge who is absolutely adamant about the kind of jury system, and you have somebody who knows what the jury rules are going to do, and they still won't go by that, what do you do? I mean, how do you get around it when it is this really and truly rigged? The system is so rigged that we do not have as good a control on it as we should when we know the facts.
I've had conversation with Ron Glass, both online and on the calls on this radio show, and I have repeatedly said to Ron, why are you going back there? You've got other recourses. If you've got a situation where there is the Superior Court are not following a procedure, you can go around them and go take your case right up to the Supreme Court. You can bypass appeal courts and go directly to the Supreme Court when there is severe corruptions in the lower courts, or better yet, transfer to the court to the Chancery courts, because they are Chancery Court. Their primary function is to hear cases that is strictly based on constitutionality. That's what they're there to do all day long. And there's, technically, all the states have a court of chancery. They don't want us to know what courts can hear those such cases. So right now, everyone either has to go to Delaware or Pennsylvania. But there's more than one court. All courts supposedly within the 50 states, should I say the 54 states, all have courts of chancery or chancery courts. So I have spoken to Ron about that, taking it a different route. So if he chooses to stay there, well, okay, well, he's choosing to play in the sandbox.